Welcome to More Than a Lawyer with your host, attorney Christy Crow. This is a podcast that highlights the amazing acts of service that lawyers perform all over the country. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, www.jinxcrow.com. Now here's the host of More Than a Lawyer, Christy Crow.
Welcome back to More Than a Lawyer. We're so glad to have with us today Ashleigh Madison. Ashleigh is a friend of mine who practices law in Savannah, Georgia, and she is with Southeast Law. Ashleigh, we're going to talk a lot about what you do outside of the courtroom, but why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you do in your practice?
All right. Thanks, Christy. Thanks for having me. As you mentioned, I am practicing here in Savannah. I am a Savannah native. I grew up here. I was a little girl when I came to Savannah, and so I decided to come back and start my practice here. It's primarily personal injury. I'm a plaintiff civil lawyer, trial lawyer, and so the way I describe it to friends and colleagues is that I'm a lawyer that helps you if you've been personally, professionally, financially, emotionally injured. If you fall into any of those categories, I can help. So I do, I handle anything from medical malpractice cases to product liability cases to construction defects to motor vehicle collision. So if it's a plaintiff's case, I'll probably handle it.
Oh, and you handle them very well. This is a funny story that you shared with me before, but you are the proud lawyer representing someone who got the biggest verdict ever in Savannah. Briefly, tell us about that.
Okay. So this was, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And I represented a couple who unfortunately had been displaced from their home because after they had some work done at their home, the house filled up with mold. And so it was not habitable for them. All of their contents were ruined. They had some adverse health effects. And so they had to leave their home literally with the shirts on their back. We were unable to resolve the claim through a settlement, so we had to try the case. And when the jury came back with their verdict, the judge sort of scratched his head because he was reviewing it, and he ended up having to send the verdict form back to the jury to fill out differently, because the reason he was scratching his head is because the jury awarded $1 billion, which was not, in fact, what their intent was. Their intent was to award $1 million. And so that was corrected. But so now every time I see that particular judge, and he's retired now, but and anytime I see anybody that knows anything about what happened, there's a sort of running joke that I'm the $1 billion lawyer. I'm the one who got the $1 billion verdict in Savannah. But like you said, it was only
the only person I know that's ever had a $1 billion verdict for even a minute. So,
well, right.
I'm going to keep that joke running too. That's a
Okay.
great story. And I know we could talk about all the fabulous things you do for your clients and in the courtroom and in your firm all day. But we're here today to talk a little bit about what you do outside of the courtroom. And first, I know you're in a relatively small firm. Why don't you tell us how you make room and balance the need to represent your clients, run your firm, do all of the things with being the firm owner of a relatively small firm, and donate your time to things outside of that?
I mean, it's tough. I think everybody sort of can relate. You as a mom, as a wife, just as a pretty dedicated family member. My family's very close, and extended family's very close, but it's tough. And just like anything, you really have to make time for it. But it's so important, I think, especially with lawyers. I think that our mental health can really take a hit. You go through this grind day in, day out. You're dealing with people who are really in crisis. And so whether you realize it or not, whether you normalize it yourself or not, you are experiencing that crisis with them. And when you have numerous clients, you're in crisis all of the time. Many times your clients are really relying on you to help them and to keep them sane and to give them hope. You're dealing with them in their worst possible time of their lives. And so that can take a toll. And so I think it's really important. I mean, obviously, it's important to take personal time and to be active, physically and things like that. But really also, I think to do things that are not law related. There are a lot of lawyers that really can get bogged down in doing their job, and that's really all they do. That's all they know how to do. So I think it's really important to try to stay present in the community, to give back. That obviously provides a lot of meaning to my life, and I think to most people. I think most people would say that it provides a lot of meaning. And so I think probably what you do is you don't spread yourself too thin, and you just sort of try to select some causes that really speak to you and that you can identify with and that you get gratification from. And so there are a few that I do, every year. I don't sit on a board or anything like that, but I do stay involved in these various organizations year in, year out. They have certain fundraisers that I routinely get involved in. And then I have other lawyers that I consider friends and, other colleagues that routinely do the same events that I do. And so that's really nice too, because you're able to give back and to have this meaning outside of law, but then you're also able to connect on a business level too, which is really helpful. So it's hard, but it's worth it.
100%. So some of the things that you stay involved with, one of them is called Brightside Children and Family Advocacy. Tell us a little bit about that organization and why you decided that was an important organization to get involved with there in the Savannah area.
So I'd heard about Brightside for many years, not really sure what it did. I heard people talk about it and volunteer their time. One of my other friends who's a personal injury lawyer sort of talked to me about, and this was actually last year, and we're intending to continue to do it, but there was basically, I don't know if you would call it I guess it's a toy drive, but you have the opportunity to sponsor as many children as you want. This is an organization that focuses on children who have suffered from abuse and neglect and works to strengthen their familial relationships and strengthen healthy familial relationships. So you have the opportunity to sponsor as many children as you want or can. It's a lot of work because you have many children to potentially shop for. So I sponsored 2, which I think is probably a good number. One of my friends sponsors 10 children.
Oh, wow.
Which is a lot. But like I mentioned, because there are other things I'm involved in, you sort of have to make sure that you don't bite off more than you can chew. So, and you get a copy of their wish list and you can go through and figure out what you'd like to provide for them. And, and it's really great because it gives you insight into the children. You don't get to meet the children, but you get to learn a little bit about them, and they provide some background information about them. And then you just deliver the gifts before Christmas, and then they ensure that they get them wrapped, and then they're there on Christmas Day for the children. And so I've really enjoyed doing that. And what's nice about that is, with that particular event, it's something that for me, I've got a 10-year-old, and then owning my own practice, it's not something that every week I can really, that I have the time to go to these board meetings or, go to things like that. So having this one event where I can spend some time around Christmas when hopefully things kind of slow down in the law business, I can do that. And it's very meaningful.
Well, and I'm sure you and your daughter probably enjoy doing that together too. I know when my children were younger, and even now that they're older, they still love to go if we adopt a family and help identify the needs if they're not already identified for us. So that's probably a good experience for both of you around the Christmas time to get you in the Christmas spirit.
Absolutely. And in fact, this is really cute. Last year, we had a little girl who was much younger than my daughter. I think if memory serves, she was like 5 or 6. And I picked out a sweater, a Christmas sweater for the little girl. And Hazel said, well, I want one too. She said, we can have matching sweaters, even though we won't meet. And so, and she was great. You're absolutely right. She fully participated and actually had a really good attitude about it. You wonder if they're going to want to have all the same toys that you're buying for these other children, but she was right there, understanding, what the cause was all about, and was fully supportive, and enjoyed helping.
That's awesome. Well, in addition to that, at Christmas time, you also work with Second Harvest, which is a food bank there in Savannah, and they have a summer program. So that's a different time of year for you. But tell us about their Bike to Go summer and program, and what Second Harvest is and what they do.
So Second Harvest is a national food bank. They have a location here in Savannah. And they have a number of fundraisers every year that I participate in with plaintiffs and defense lawyers, to raise money to provide food for people that, when they have tight budgets. So you can actually go to the facility. They just opened up a really large facility. It's beautiful. And so people can go there and get food, but they have a really neat program. In the summer, it used to be called Kids Cafe, and I think it's called Bite to Go now. And what they concentrate on is providing food to school-aged children, especially during the summers and break, Christmas, Thanksgiving, things like that, to ensure that they have well-balanced, healthy meals all throughout the break. And so that's a really, really neat program that they have. And you can volunteer there and provide the food to the children. They'll come in and get meals, which is really, really neat.
Yeah, it was something we did at our church, is the backpack program, which is similar to that, because you learn, if you look into food insecurity, that oftentimes children um, have food security because of the school system and because of the meals they
Mhm.
get at school. And so on the weekends or during the summer or during the Christmas breaks, the food insecurity increases dramatically
Mhm.
for children. And so addressing that is a great thing to do. And I think with the economic issues and affordability issues that we're all facing these days, it's probably just going to get worse. So that's a great thing to do. And what kind of fundraisers do they have that you participate in?
So they have two that I routinely get involved in. One is called the Tour de Epicure, and for Savannah, Savannah is known as a foodie town. Okay, we have great food, and people flock to our town to experience it. And so every year there are a lot of sort of staple restaurants that I would say that participate, but there also are a number that are new and kind of circulate. Um, and so what you do is you all meet up at a central location, and there are usually about, I could be getting this wrong, but maybe about 10 trolleys. So if you've been to Savannah or Charleston or any of these southern towns, a lot of times you can go on a trolley ride or a trolley tour. They'll take you all throughout the city and talk about the history. Well, we get these trolleys, and so there are about 20 or so people on each trolley, and the trolleys go around to various restaurants throughout the city, and you spend about probably about 45 minutes or so, where you get a light bite, you get a taste of whatever fare they have to offer. And then there's typically at each location a piece of artwork that's been donated by an artist, and you're encouraged to bid on the artwork, and then obviously any proceeds from those auctions go to the Second Harvest, go to benefit the Second Harvest. So obviously you have to buy a ticket to participate in the Tour de Epicure. But so you go to, I think, a total of probably about 6 restaurants. And
Oh,
then,
wow.
yeah, and then it's over several hours, and it's a lot of fun because it's typically the same group of people. And so for a lot of us, this is the only time we get to see each other, through the year, in a group setting. And so it culminates at the end with just sort of a gala, where all the people from the trolleys come to one location. There's more food, and then you find out essentially who has bid the highest for all the different artwork. You can bid there too. So it's just a great causes. I can't remember how much it raises for Second Harvest, but it raises a lot of money every year. People are very, very devoted and dedicated to that. And then there's a Jewels and Jeans event where They usually have a band come, and there's a silent auction, and it's at the facility. So you get to do a tour of the facility, which is really cool. And just kind of see how they do what they do. And so they have that every year too.
That's so fun. And it's a great way to connect with people that you might not get to see, like you said, but also know that you're supporting a great cause.
Yeah. And what's really neat about the Jewels and Jeans event is you see people from all over the community, right? So, and on the other event too, I'm a lawyer, and our trolley has a lot of lawyers, but we have all kinds of people who help in other not-for-profit organizations. We have bankers, we have teachers, you name it. There are people that participate in all these events.
That's awesome. And then finally, well, not finally, I know we could probably talk about things that you work on or work with there in Savannah all afternoon, but I know one of the other nonprofits that you wanted to highlight was Union Mission.
Yes.
Tell us about Union Mission and what it does and why you decided to devote some of your time to that.
So Union Mission has been around for a very long time. They have a number of programs. They have different homes, and it is focused on that particular organization is focused on providing hope to the homeless. And so they have anything from providing temporary housing for men and women. They have emergency housing for women with children. They provide really essential life skill help, like mental health counseling. They have places where people who are homeless can come and rest and relax, so that they're not outside all of the time. They have somewhere that they can actually decompress and be safe and secure. And I think the reason that this particular organization, and it is there is massive support in Savannah for this organization. I went to an event 2 weeks ago, and it was incredible. It was at the at the convention center across the river, Savannah Convention Center. There were thousands of people there. I mean, it was
Wow.
it was really, really, like, I got sort of chills when I walked in and saw how many people from all walks of life participating and excited about the event. Of course, and they have the various, they have live auction, silent auction, and that sort of thing. And they had really good prizes. Actually, one of my friends actually won a trip to Scotland,
Oh, wow.
trips to Italy, and just the generosity of these people that are providing these trips and these gifts to go up for donation is just incredible. But the reason I think that I sort of this particular organization spoke to me is that about, I would say, 5 or 6 years ago now, we used to have 2 very large homeless camps on either side of downtown in Savannah. We had one under one bridge/parkway that sort of bordered the eastern side of downtown. And then on the other side, where the other bridge was, the bridge that goes to South Carolina, we also had a very large homeless population. And there was a new development that went in on the eastern side. It's called Eastern Wharf. And unfortunately, that entire homeless camp, was completely removed. They literally went in and clear cut everything, driving hundreds of homeless people out of this camp. And then it really, without having any place to go, we had homeless people in Savannah, in the city squares, bathing in city squares. Really, they had no place to go because the home as they knew it had been demolished. And so there's a real need in Savannah, and the same thing happened with the other homeless camp. So it drove everybody into downtown. And then now even we see a lot of people coming out of downtown and moving outside the city, more sort of in the suburbs where there's safety and shelter. And so I thought there's a very much a need to improve opportunities for people who are experiencing homelessness. And so that's why I decided to get involved, try to make a difference.
That's great. And if somebody wants to help support the Union Mission, I know they could participate in the activity they have in May that you just went to. but what other opportunities are there to help the union mission?
I think you can volunteer. They, like I mentioned, they have different homes that are dedicated for those uh, different products that they offer. They have the Magdalene home, the Parker home, Grace House, and so I think you could volunteer. You could. They have a website, and I think it's unionmission.org, where you can just make a donation. So if you're in the Savannah area, you can always come and volunteer. You can, I think. In fact, a fellow plaintiff's lawyer, a friend of mine, is actually he's the president. I think or he's on the board of directors. And I don't know how long this length of time will be for him, but certainly there are those types of opportunities too if you really want to get involved.
That's great. Well, and we'll put in the show notes, we'll have links to all of these nonprofits. So if somebody hears something that speaks to them and they want to get more involved, they can. If you have a young lawyer coming to you that does want to get more involved, or an older lawyer that just has never been involved in something and wants to get more involved, what advice would you give them about how to get involved and how to find opportunities that speak to them?
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously you can always ask other people, what are you involved in? If you've got a mentor, maybe find out the types of things that they're involved in. And then if you've got other senior attorneys that you typically work with, or even attorneys that you are on the other side with, but you have a good relationship with, ask what they're involved in, because they might be involved in something that you hadn't even thought about that you are really interested in. So I'd say ask about that. Obviously ask friends, ask, other friends that are not lawyers. What are you involved in? What type of work do you find meaningful in your life? And then obviously, if there's something that you're interested in and of itself without really having any input, just do a Google search and see what types of programs in your community are out there. Half the time you may not even know that there is a program that might serve whatever it is that you're looking to do. So, it's really not that difficult to get involved. You just have to ask, and you just have to do a little research to see.
Great advice, Ashleigh. Well, as you know, this is a More Than a Lawyer podcast. So what does it mean to be more than a lawyer to you?
I think, like, we've been talking about, I think it's important to give back to sort of create, I don't know if it would, I'm trying to find the right words. What is your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? What is important to you? And obviously most of us probably wouldn't go into law if we didn't love what we do. We didn't want to help people. But I think it's important to have meaning in your life apart from what you do for a living. And I think that a lot of times the way that we get meaning from our lives is by helping other people and being able to make a difference in maybe other ways besides just in law. Certainly, I love to win a case. I love to get a great result from my client and to be able to make a difference in that way. But I love to help people that are not my clients, and make a difference that way. So I think that obviously helps other people and makes a difference in their life. But I think it makes a difference in my life too. Your life is much more enriched whenever you are thinking about people other than yourself, and obviously if there are people that are in need and you can provide services, whatever you can provide, whether it's through monetary, maybe you don't have a whole lot of time. You can provide, that financial support, but maybe you can volunteer your time, maybe, and it may not even just be through formal organizations. It can just be through helping others in the community when you see somebody in need.
100%. Well, thank you so much for joining us on More Than a Lawyer. And everybody can check the show notes to support these wonderful organizations that Ashleigh is supporting through her time and her donations.
Thank you so much for having me, Christy. It's been a pleasure.
You've been tuning into More Than a Lawyer with your host, attorney Christy Crow. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, www.jinxcrow.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.